That's the best way to help alleviate some, because the Hemet Police Department only has like something around 76 officers compared to we have like 80,000, 87,000 people who live in Hemet.
Mm-hmm.
We only have like that number should be around 106 police officers.
I think it's about half the size of the average city in its size. So they have a tough job.
Yeah.
They have a tough job.
So if there are other groups that would step up to the plate, and partner with the police department, like, hey, we could take this off of your hands. That would be great. That's what I'm talking about with like community support. We can work together to make sure that your neighbors next to you is doing all right, and your neighbors isn't getting beat, and they know the resources of where they could go.
So would that be like Riverside County resources, like Riverside University, Riverside Behavioral Health, or
Yeah.
the
Yes.
mental health center down at Menlo and
Yes.
State?
Yes. And some of these people, the people that live in the city don't know that they have these therapeutic resources available for them until they get some kind of CPS investigation in their life, and then they're forced to do it. So if you're not doing right by your children, the state can come in and take your children from you. That same attitude should be applied to people who are on the streets, because it's not fair that I understand that some people, they want to be homeless, and I understand that some people are in these predicaments where they found themselves in that position, right? And so you have one side of the people who are like, you need to get yourself together, and then you have these other people who are like, we need to do something to help them. We need to be in the middle of that, because you're still responsible for your own life, and just because you made the choice for your life to be that way doesn't mean it's not affecting other people. So you have to pay attention to how your individual life is affecting others around you, and to make sure that your specific life, because it's like, well, I'm not hurting nobody, I'm just living on the street. But then when you leave that soda can in front of the business, or you leave that needle in front of the business, and now the kids who come to my establishment see the needle and pick up the needle because I didn't catch it before I came into it, then it becomes dangerous. Does that make sense? In front of Starbucks, in front of any establishment, So it's that public safety element is very important to me, because I want to make sure that people feel safe. And right now, we're kind of focusing on homelessness, but there's a deeper problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you have some thoughts about how we could tackle those problems?
Look, minimum wage was raised in California, right? But then so was the gas tax. If the gas gets raised, then bread, everything, the materials to get the wood down here to build more houses, everything goes up. Mm-hmm. So then it didn't really help the person who got a raise from their minimum wage higher. It didn't really help them, because now they're spending more money driving, so it kind of negated the whole thing. And it's like a lot of legislation, but we could come up with these excuses like, it's coming from high up and down, right? But in the city of Hemet, we can work together to make sure that everybody can eat and everybody can have a chance to make their life better. Does that make sense? And that's my focus, is we got to get away from this individualism stuff. And that's what I mean. So like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the homeless people are at that first tier. So are a lot of people who are not homeless. They're still just living in survival too. So it's not just homeless, and you have people who are on the verge of being homeless. You have people who don't know that 6 months from now they could be homeless for whatever reason. But it's like, where is our mindset, and how are we working together? There's something like, how many, 220 churches in Hemet? There shouldn't be no one on the street.
A lot of nonprofits out there.
There shouldn't be anyone on the street.
Yep.
Everybody's electric bill should be paid. There's too much help out here. You know?
This is sort of transitioning into something that's unique about Malcolm's campaign, which is an emphasis on getting the community to be more involved in the community. You want to tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are in that area?
I'd like to see, so I heard some stories, and I said this in a previous interview, I heard some stories that the city of Hemet used to they used to do things as a community a lot, you know, and I guess the big thing was the farmer's market, but was recently moved to a different area. It was by some railroad tracks, like behind the police station, like next to it, and it was big, and they would have jumpers for the kids, they would have all these things. It's been moved, and it hasn't been the same ever since. But not only that, it's so many people are coming into Hemet that we don't know who's here. So it's a bunch of people who we don't know who's here. Like someone asked, well, who are you, Malcolm? You just came out of nowhere running for city council, you know? And I've been here since about 2002. So it's like, I've seen the growth of the city, and I've seen like the degradation of, I mean, I recently got a flat tire because of like potholes and things like this in the streets and stuff. And I'm thinking, what is happening that we're not working together in the city to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to do good, right? That was the whole reason why the Constitution was even created, so that everybody had rights. But not only rights, we had responsibilities behind those rights. Why? So that we could each individually move in a space and time and orient ourselves towards the greater good, to be the best version of ourselves. But I don't see that today in this city. One of the things that I have a big concern about is that I don't see a vision or mission statement for the city. Why don't we have a mission or a vision statement for Hemet? Where is Hemet going? I couldn't tell you where the city of Hemet is going. It's like we're just tackling each problem as they come, but we're not really thinking, we don't have an aim for something, you know? And so when it comes to getting the community together, it's like, let's aim for getting the community together. But what does that look like? Well, that looks like each district getting to, a responsibility of each district getting to know, each citizen inside of each district getting to know each other. But I'm not going to leave that to each district's own proclivity. What I'm going to do is, you know, create like fun things that each district could do together, and then get all 5 districts together so that everybody kind of knows everybody, and that beefs up public safety too, you know. And then it also beefs up, bolsters community and community involvement, and that's a big emphasis, is community involvement, creating an app where people can kind of, what can we do here? And remember Adopt a Block? Adopting a block, maybe District 1 can adopt certain blocks and everything and make sure it's cleaned, and whoever's there, they can volunteer. And District 2 and all the different districts can adopt something, you know what I mean? And then, okay, so how does District 5 or how does District 1 or my District 3 help the particular homeless people that are in that specific district? We always see the same faces there, you know, and then we help them with the nonprofits who live within District 3. And then District 2 does the same thing. And then the community kind of works together, and then you see less homeless people. If we get it down to, you know, it's what? We could get it down to 12%. There's still homeless people, right? But it's better, you know? Maybe the ones who are still on the street eat better. Maybe they're still taken care of because they got somewhere to sleep at night, kind of thing.
Maybe you can whittle it down to a manageable number to devote some county resources to, you know,
instead of
hundreds.
Because I know there's a sect of people who are like, just get rid of them. And then there's the other side who are like, how do you just get rid of somebody like that?
Where would they go?
And that's what I don't understand. I don't, you know? So then I brought up a question about how come the county of Riverside just gives them a piece of land. Hey, go develop this land. There's no liability. The county loses the liability because it's like, You just go over there and you make your way. We did it before. Hunters and gatherers, we're products of evolution, right? We did it before.
After we came down out of the trees.
Why couldn't we just? People have a lot of ingenuity, and we think some of these homeless people are dumb, but they're very smart. I mean, a lot of us couldn't last on the street as long as they do.
I know I've used some who have still have their electrical licenses and know how to do lath and plaster work and plumbing. So you're right about that.
They could make their way, and then you'd have this whole community of people, and I bet you they would do right by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have their probably fix their own form of government, fix their own rules and everything, and people get ostracized if they don't follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's like we don't give people the benefit of the doubt or a chance because for whatever reason we think people are just up to no good all the time. But there's a reason why.
I think some of the surrounding cities have started projects in that area, like Palm Springs with theirs. So there's probably a lot to learn from looking at the other cities.
Well, Beaumont has the low-income homes.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like a lot of there's some people who don't like low income because that means more of a specific demographic that people don't want to come. But you get people in some of these low-income homes, and then you work with them to get out of the low-income home. So it becomes like transitional. So then they buy a home in Hemet, right? That raises the property taxes or the income from the property taxes to come in, right? Because now we have more people not owning but not renting, or on Section 8 or something like that. Because it's like my parents, they live in District 4 by West Valley. House was broken into. And I went around the neighborhood. It's like 665 houses. And I knocked on every door. Some ran away. Some of the houses were empty. But at least 73% of those people in there are renting. They don't even own the place that they live in, And it's like you drive down Hemet and it looks kind of worn down and it doesn't really look like a place that jobs would come to, that corporations would come to. But it's like we have to beautify this place, and we could do that working together. We can't do that separated. We need everybody together. We can't do this separated. I'm running for city council because I want to remind people that we do it better when we work together and quit this. It's like I don't know, are we in a preschool?
We have a lot to learn, don't we? Well, Michael, I heard you talk about standardized ordinances. I like that idea, looking at the ordinances of the other cities around. What are they doing about some of their crime issues, homeless issues, and maybe senior issues with older population that needs special attention. I liked your idea of leveraging nonprofits and the churches. That sounds like it's a large resource that we could do a better job of tapping into, maybe.
Yes, and I haven't even talked about like My City Youth and some of these other organizations. I just brought up the churches.
Yeah, and like your idea of teaming up police with social workers and mental health people out of
not social workers.
Well,
not social workers.
Okay. I mean, I guess you wouldn't advocate social workers then. Some people do, but sounds like you don't.
Well,
so who would the police be teamed up with to do this non-violent work?
Well, it would have to be. I guess they could have a background in social. They would have to have a background in social work. But when I think, when most people think of social workers, they think of this like a woman,
short female, without a black belt.
Yes, and somebody opens the door and they're 6'8", 335 pounds. He just finished beating his wife. What is she gonna do?
But aren't you advocating a team with a police officer?
Yes. So instead of like maybe one, I was hoping that it could go where the police didn't have to go at all, but the police notified this sect of the department that's going to obviously be created just for our city, you know, maybe as a testing ground, right? And those people go out.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, but not specifically social workers, because you know, maybe a social worker goes just in case a child has to be removed. Maybe.
Well, I have a daughter who's a psychiatric social worker, and it's right up there with police work, and it's a pretty dangerous job. A lot of them get killed every year.
Yes, that's why these people would have to be, you know, up to this, because you're talking about somebody who is who's in a very sympathetic response right now. You know, flight or fight.
So Malcolm, before we make this too long and put everybody to sleep, let's see if we can kind of wrap it up with a little bit of a summary here. What are the top reasons why you feel people should vote for you? What do you bring to the table here that voters should think about? And then maybe you could give us a little bit of information on how they could contact you for more information.
I hope the main thing is that you realize that I really want to work with people, and I really want to work with the city to get the city together so that we can create something beautiful. You hear a lot of rhetoric of people saying, I don't like where I live at, or I'm ashamed of Hemet or something. It's like people go to Temecula and Marietta because it's beautiful, and that's what you hear. There's more things to do. I'd like to hear some talk like that of maybe the people from Temecula and Marietta coming to Hemet, because we've created things for tourism that supports tourism. We've created community events where people from the community get heavily involved, and there should be incentives like District 5's best kept yard, or District 5's or District 1 who can make the best ribs. You know what I mean? Or who could, you know what I mean? Just like camaraderie within each district, and then the entire city, all the districts working together to maintain this something that could be very beneficial for everyone. You know, and I'm using the word could because everybody has to work together. And so I'm challenging everybody to give me a chance, because I believe that I could inspire something inside of everyone to say, hey, I believe that we can make a change, and it takes all of us. It's not just going to take 5 individuals who are going to be sitting on this council seat. It's going to take the entire community of Hemet to really press on these 5 individuals to make sure that they're doing what they said they were going to do, you know, when they were campaigning. And one of the big things is, first of all, if you guys elect me and get me in there, I'm going to make sure we have a mission and vision statement, because how are you guys going to measure progress if we don't even have an aim or a goal to measure it against? Like, are we moving in the right direction? What are we doing? And I want to make sure that everybody is on that's where it comes back to transparency, is are we doing or moving in the direction that we said we were going to move, or are we just simply reacting to every little problem that comes up? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's why I'm asking for the community's help to get me elected, because I'm going to work very hard to make sure that I get this all 5 districts working together cohesively, because we're better than this. I promise you we're better than this.
Great. Now let's, in terms of the wrap up and the identity at the end, let's get your name straight. We got a couple of landmines in here. Just like the name Abraham Lincoln's last name, there's a silent L in Lincoln, and there's a silent L hiding in your name too, Malcolm. And then you've got a last name that's spelled a little bit differently than most people would spell it, because they throw in an extra L.
Yeah.
So maybe you could tell us what your name is, and make sure we know how to find you on the internet.
So Malcolm is actually pronounced Malcolm, and it's Scottish. My last name is Lilienthal, and it's spelled Lilienthal, and it's German and Jewish, meaning Lily of the Valley. You can find me if you just Googled Malcolm candidate Hemet, and it'd take you to my face page, which is Malcolm Lilienthal, MALCOLMLILIENTHAL, the number 4, district, the number 3. Does that make sense? So Malcolm Lilienthal 4 District 3, and that's where you can find my face page and some things that I've wrote about, and you can kind of see my mind and how my mind works on there.
It's a Facebook page?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is there a phone number they can reach you at, or?
951-923-2405.
There you go, folks. You got any questions for Malcolm Lilienthal here? You can contact his face page, leave him a note, give him a call, ask him more information. If you have any questions about this interview, which has covered a lot more material in depth than we cover in most of our interviews. So this is, I think there's a lot to chew on in what we've talked about here. Malcolm, on behalf of Eddie George, the publisher of Hemet News, and Gina Estrin, who is our videographer here in the room, and Keenan Clark, who's our backup videographer, I want to thank you for participating today, and we wish you all the best in your campaign.
All right, thank you. Thank you.